Satan has absolutely nothing to do with the Cain and Abel story. But this shows how doctrines and teachings out of pastoral positions, or maybe even just the misunderstanding of when the person reads it themselves and they superimpose their ideas, creates misinformation. Because I can imagine that this person may have taught other people that Satan was the causes Cain to kill his brother. Now, if a person has never read the story, thought about the story, critically think through the story, then they may listen to this and be like, oh yeah, if a person is the type that believes that, hey, look, you know, everything that is evil that's ever happened in the world, Satan has his hands on it, and believes that actually Satan is the devil, you will go along with what this person is saying. But when you read the story, you recognize that it actually says before Cain actually kills his brother, this is when the God of the Bible has said that, hey, you know what? I like Abel's barbecue better than I like your vegan platter that you served me up, Cain. It demonstrates right after that, he hasn't killed his brother yet. Cain went away angry. The God of the Bible goes to Cain and said, sin is crouching at your door. It doesn't say Satan is crouching at the door. It doesn't have the same situation of Job, where God asked Satan, where have you been? He said, I've been to and fro, walking around, doing my own thing. They make a bet. When they make this bet, Satan has to get permission from God to do anything to Job. But you would superimpose the idea of Satan doing whatever he desires based on the idea of the Bible. And the New Testament says that Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. These lies and all these sorts of things, to put Satan in the situation with Cain when he says that sin crouches at your door. Effectively, and I hope that you can understand this and take this as a lesson of life. This God is saying, hey, look, you're angry, you're upset. You can't do anything to me because I'm God. But you want to take your revenge out on your brother. You want to take your anger out on your brother. You have the power to decide yes or no. You have the power to give in to the negative part of your brain that says, I'm going to harm someone for doing something towards me, even though they didn't do anything towards me. But out of my anger, I'm going to harm someone. You have the power to negate that and walk away and just do your own thing. Be happy in your own life. Just like when that car cuts you off when you're driving down the highway. You have the power to blow your horn, run up, cut them off, and then create a whole incident. And maybe they shoot you. Maybe they trap you and kill you and hurt your family. Or you have the power to sit back and swallow that down and just let them go on about their business and do like I do oftentimes. I say, I hope that I don't have the emergency that they have or whatever is stressing them in their life that's causing them to drive and act that way. I am glad that I don't have it. And I just go on with my life, not even giving a concern. Whereas if you're angry at that person, you do all these other things, they may not track you down, but then you go to work and you're angry because that person cut you off. And then after you're angry that that person cut you off, you're popping off at everybody. Like, that's so timely. You're popping off at everybody. You're popping off at your boss. You're popping off at your employees. You're popping off at your spouse, your kids. You go home and you kick the dog and drown the cat. All because you let somebody else take you out of your God seed inside you, your God mind. And because you look outside of yourself and you're looking for Satan to do something. There is no Satan that's done anything. As a matter of fact, if y'all believe that Satan was the devil, how is he in heaven in the story of Job? Satan still has access. If you believe that Satan is Lucifer and Satan and Lucifer are also the serpent, which they're not the same. But if you believe that and you believe that they were cast out of heaven, thrown down to earth, Lord over earth, here tempting people, how did he go to heaven? Why is he part of this heavenly court? You see how that don't make sense? It doesn't work. But we turn on our blinders, our cognitive dissonance, in order for us to be able to facilitate the narrative that we believe, the narrative that we want others to accept, the narrative that makes sense to us so that we can get our heavenly reward and avoid hell. We do that. People have a tendency to do that. So when you make these statements about Satan causing Cain to kill his brother. No, it's nothing to do with that. The only evil, the only devil is the one that is inside each individual that each of one of us must fight, that each one of us must overcome, that we cannot let it rule our lives. And then we continue to strive in our lives. And to think that that there is some malevolent spirit of Satan that's still running around outside of yourself is just you providing an excuse for why you do things that are not good for you. But it's also um, it's also the construct that you've been given, that you've been indoctrinated into to believe, so that you will continue to walk in that idea. And the idea of a Messiah coming to save you is because it takes away your own personal accountability and responsibility to fix your life yourself, to live a great life yourself, to go beyond and above and beyond to make your life the greatest that it can possibly be. But it's also a mechanism of control that was created by the churches, by the religions, I should say, by this particular religion is something that was created as a method of control from the Abrahamic religions, that someone must come in that is greater than you to save you, to be a bridge for you, instead of like religions of Buddhism, where you just have to look inward for your own personal salvation to save yourself. I'm not saying you should go follow Buddhism, but even in the Tao, it's like it's all about personal responsibility. Stoicism is about personal responsibility. The thing that is lacking within most of these religions is personal responsibility and personal accountability. The same accountability and responsibility you would want in a mate, that you would demand from your children, you would want to have them to have that so that they can grow up and become productive adults and have the greatest life they possibly can. It's the same. That should be you should require of yourself. And it's the same message that the Cain story was actually given. That, hey, Cain, sin crouches at your door. Take personal responsibility. Take personal accountability. And even after he killed his brother, the story still is saying, your brother blood cries out from the rocks, from the earth. Take accountability. Take responsibility. When Cain asked, oh, the people going to try to kill me, give him a mark, and then he protects him. Where's the personal accountability and the personal responsibility? He has none. And that's the story. The story is teaching you to not have a personal accountability or responsibility. Blame it on the devil. Blame it on the devil. And hopefully some Messiah will come and save you. This is the ridiculousness of religion. But hey, to each his own. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.